In this video, we're going to cover, will there be a second stimulus check? I made a video previously about will there be a second stimulus check for $2,000. I'll give you the highlights and recap about that. But before we begin, I just want to say that you're not going to hear another YouTuber talking about what I'm talking about in this video, because this is from my own research and due diligence. This is not from an article that I just pulled off online. Therefore, this is original content. Here are my prepared remarks. To recap and bring you up to speed, if you give the same group of people who received the first stimulus check a second stimulus check for the same amount for $1,200, that's going to cost another $300 billion. If you give the same group of people that received the first stimulus check a second stimulus check, but for this time it's going to be $2,000 instead of $1,200, then that's going to have a $500 billion price tag. Under the current proposal, for the current proposal of the second stimulus check, giving a second stimulus check of $2,000 to a larger group of people, so this time everyone aged 16 and up, as well as people making up to $130,000 to receive the full stimulus check money, rather than the people making only up to $75,000 to receive the full stimulus check money. If you're going to do that, therefore include a larger group of people into the pool, then now the program will cost $700 billion. To put into perspective, the third stimulus package cost $2.2 trillion, and the US debt is approximately $24 trillion. This is what's going on currently and how this affects the outlook of a second stimulus check. You can read in between the lines the mood of the politicians. They're being more mindful of the country's debt levels and debt problems. Of course, this level of debt is concerning, so I understand both sides of the arguments. We need help right now to avoid economic collapse. However, we don't want to put more burden on the future generations by just piling on the debt unnecessarily. Here's a problem that most Americans will realize and that the politicians are realizing after the third stimulus package. What they're realizing is that there's simply just not enough money to go around. Everybody needs help. I've said this before. Individuals, small businesses, big businesses, hospitals, state and local governments, they all need help. I say that there will not be enough money to go around because we're not printing money to fund these stimulus packages. We're taking on more debt. So we're going further and deeper into debt. We're not printing money. Perhaps in the future we will be printing money and that will cause inflation, but for the time being, this is all being funded by debt. Therefore, we do not have unlimited resources. We are not printing money, and we are seeing politicians acting more mindful of our debt levels and our debt problem. It's for that reason in my last video, I said a $2,000 stimulus check for 6 months. That sounded very unlikely. I said that most likely there will be a second stimulus check, but for only 1 month. I said if they were going to make this a monthly thing, like a monthly stimulus check, then the maximum that they would go for would be a 2-3 month stimulus check, maximum. But now, judging by what's going on in Congress, a multi-month stimulus check, it just seems very improbable from my point of view. However, I do believe there will be a second stimulus check for 4 major reasons. 1, it's cheap. Relatively speaking, as I mentioned before, the stimulus check program was $300 billion. A $300 billion cost for a $1,200 stimulus check that goes directly to you, so not trickle down economics. It's $1,200 going directly to you. That's a pretty good bang for the buck. You got to remember the stimulus check, that program cost $300 billion, and the whole stimulus package 3, cost $2.2 trillion. So relatively speaking, it was cheap. My reason number 2, there are there are a lot of people that qualify or qualified for the stimulus check money that do not qualify for unemployment benefits. My reason number 3, the government, they already have a blueprint of how to carry out a second stimulus check. Hopefully they make the administration and the delivery of the second stimulus check smoother and better. But there's already a blueprint, so it's going to be much more easy. It's going to be easier for them to administer this program. And currently, my 4th reason, currently the interest rates are so low. The borrowing costs to take on more debt is very low. When push comes to shove, this will be a big factor favoring our willingness to take on more debt. And a lot of people are asking, if there is a second stimulus check, will they make the second stimulus check for $2,000 instead of $1,200? In my opinion, I don't think so. For the bang for the buck, taking into consideration the U.S. debt and the U.S. debt problem, and the politicians just being more mindful of that, unless you live in New York or San Fran or somewhere really expensive, that $1,200 stimulus check, that should actually be of substantial help. Even if you're living in a big city like Chicago, that stimulus check money, that should be a really big help to you. Because honestly, if you're in a household of 2 people with 2 kids, then that's a $3,400 stimulus check in 1 month. That's $1,200 plus $1,200 plus $500 per each child. So that's $3,400 you're talking about in 1 month. That should take you very far, to be honest. Therefore, in my reasoning, is why should the politicians go overboard on stimulus check number 2 by upping the stimulus check amounts from $1,200 to $2,000? They would rather save some ammo just in case they need to fire off a 3rd stimulus check. A lot of people are also asking for the second stimulus check, would they now include people making up to $130,000 instead of people making up to $75,000 to receive the full stimulus check amount? For this one, I do not believe so either. The reason why I say that is because if someone was making $130,000 and they lost their job, W-2 employee or self-employed, they should now qualify for the maximum unemployment benefits. That should be around $1,000 a week, plus or minus a few hundred, and it could be substantially over $1,000 a week. I understand that that's not equivalent to what they were making before, $130,000. But if you were making $130,000, you should have a rainy day fund that you can draw from, or the tax rule changes have changed with the stimulus package where you can take money out of your retirement account, your 401k, your IRA, penalty free. So that's another money source. So I say that for the same reason, including more people into the second stimulus check, the proposed second stimulus check, for those that made up to $130,000 instead of up to $75,000, that would substantially elevate the price tag of a program like that. And now when funding is much more competitive than ever, like I told you before, where people are competing, whether individuals, hospitals, small business, big business, state and local governments, this may not be the best bang for the buck from the politician's point of view. Again, this is all just my opinion regarding the proposal of the second stimulus check. However, this is an insight, piecing together all the working parts and understanding what is a more probable outcome so that you don't get your hopes up and rely on someone else's wild opinion based on nothing. At least here I provided you some reasons on why I am forecasting my position as such, and also because people keep commenting and asking me to cover this topic. I hope that's been helpful and provides some insights. Thank you for tuning in. Please stay safe and healthy. Take care.